All right, I think we're live. I hope we are. I hope this is working. Let me come around and double check, make sure it does what it's supposed to do. Okay, it looks like it's all working. I think we're good to go. So today is a little different setup. Instead of standing up, I'm sitting down. It's a little bit more relaxing and looking into doing some other things today. So I want to start off, first of all, by saying it's amazing to see how we as humans come together in the, events of tragedy or anything that happens in our lives where we can reach out to each other as human beings. And so with that in mind, huge shout out to our corporate office in California, to everybody who works there, by staying in touch, monitoring, reaching out to folks in Texas. I hope all of our next homies are okay in Texas and doing well and safe. Our hearts go out to all the families in Texas, to all the tragedy that took place and everything else. I know there's efforts being made every day on our level and level of corporate to send out help. So we are excited to participate in that and help the folks in need. So again, I hope everybody's safe and doing well. Number two, I don't know how else to put this. Here we go. Let me show you. Okay, should I say anything else? Today is the day. Today is the day that we hope to look at a beautiful year of some college football. And so we're excited for the Bucks to kick off today, and hopefully they bring a victory home, so forth and so on. I am wearing my OHIO shirt, so OH. Hoping to hear IO back from some of the folks out there. My phone's buzzing, so don't mind it. And the third thing is I'm wearing this Columbus Chill hat. Shout out to Dave Caruso and Columbus Chill. They do an outstanding job in training hockey players. My kid's really excited. He's part of the team. Heading out to Cleveland. Going to be up north this weekend. Hopefully the boys bring a victory home or some kind of positive thing, learn some new things, and play a good tournament. So with that in mind, I wanted to say a couple of things before I dial the phone number of our next guest on our live series from NextHome Experience. There's a lot of people that I talk to that talk about their local boards. They talk about the real estate associations, places where they belong, what they're paying their fees and dues for. And so there's a lot of questions. Everybody always says, well, what does the board do? What are they there to do for me or for the consumer? And so that list is really extensive as to what those things really are. So we've decided, being here in Columbus, that we will talk to our board. And Stan has been with the board for a very long time. He is a veteran when it comes to Columbus real estate. He understands Columbus market. He understands Columbus Realtors more than anybody else. He has a lot of friends in the real estate business, from brokers to managers to company owners to real estate agents. And so we wanted to ask him all these questions and figured we'll call him directly. That is what we want to do today. I highly encourage you, on my level, is to get involved with your board. I highly encourage you to get involved with your local community. I highly encourage you to ask questions and understand what the board really does and why they're there for you. So without further ado, I'm going to dial Stan. And everybody knows when I make these phone calls, I get nervous. So I'm going to call him and hopefully reconnect and go down this path of asking important questions. Here we go.
This is Stan Collins.
Stan, good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm fine. Is that you, Vadim?
Yes, sir. It's me. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Appreciate it. So I'm going to dive right in because I know time is of an essence. I actually stopped by at the board yesterday to move something over, and I saw a lot of cars in the parking lot. So I know there's a lot of activities going on at the board the last couple of days. So first of all, I want to thank you ahead of time for taking your time to spend today with me on the phone and with anybody who's listening or is going to see this later. So I'm going to dive right in, and I'm going to ask you a question. We kind of went through some of the stuff I wanted to find out, and I know we talked briefly, and I'll let you expand on that. Tell me more about raising the bar of real estate agent. Tell me more about the mentoring program that the board has come up with, and what does it look like, and what does it do? So I'm going to turn it over to you.
I'd love to talk about that, and if you don't mind, I'd like to start with sharing one thing that I think is on the top of everyone's minds right now.
Sure.
In addition to that, is what's going on in Texas.
Yes.
And now Texas and Louisiana, and what a horrible, horrible disaster that's happened. We have a great many members of our national association that are there in Texas and dealing with that disaster. And I just wanted to make sure that any one of your listeners or watchers here today and any of our members know that there is ways to help. You know, I've seen a number of our members out there, and they're putting together trucks and supplies and things like that to ship those things down to Houston area. I want to tell everyone that realtors all across the country are helping with this disaster. And my personal opinion, and I've seen this reaffirmed, donating money is the easiest, quickest, and therefore the best way to help. Our National Association of Realtors has the Realtor Relief Foundation. It's there to provide us a channel to help, as is the Texas Realtors Association. The Texas Association of Realtors has a relief fund. Anyone goes to our website at columbusrealtors.com can find links to go there and make a contribution there. The Realtors Relief Fund has made a very big difference in a great many natural disasters that have happened in the past. And we're needed again, and I know our members will step up. So thanks for letting me take that little tangent
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely.
When we talk about what Columbus Realtors does as an association, and by the way, we're about 100 and almost 108 years old now. This organization started in 1908, and the reason they got together to begin with, the reason the real estate brokers and agents got together and said we need an organization, organized real estate to help raise the bar in real estate. And two main purposes at that time was raising the bar of real estate, set a standard for professionalism, and to advocate on behalf of the industry. And so the Columbus Realtors is again, since 1908, trying to do that same thing. A lot of people think that the association is the only reason to belong is MLS. Now, I'm going to tell you, the association was there a long time, 50-some years before there ever was such a thing as an MLS. So that core mission is a matter of tradition, and it's right in our mission. We talked a little bit about, the Code of Ethics, of course, is part of that. Code of Ethics, by the way, we just celebrated a 100th anniversary of the Code of Ethics about 2 years ago, so that's amazing. Our strategic plan that the association adopts, and we revise our strategic plan every 3 years. We are in the first year of a new cycle, 2017, 18, and 19. Incidentally, the presidents for those 3 years, we've got Mick Gordon. I'm going to come back to Mick in a minute, but Mick Gordon, Sarah Walsh will be our president next year, and then following that, John Myers. One of the one of the main components of our strat plan is raising member professionalism. Mick Gordon and our education committee got together and brainstormed this idea of creating a mentor training program. We've had efforts in the past to say, okay, we should have members and we should organize and actually be doing mentoring. And I'm going to say that that's not necessarily the job of the association, but to train mentors certainly is. We can make sure that we are able to train members out there who can impart the professionalism and their knowledge about how to succeed in this business to others. And that's probably the best way for the association to go about it. So we actually just completed our very first, and I will call it the pilot class. And if you might have seen it on Facebook or on the website.
Yeah, I saw it advertised. Yeah.
10 graduates of the very first class, and they were sort of guinea pigs, I want to say, because after that first class, we're doing a little bit of rewriting, and we're planning another class. I believe it'll be November. As we do get the rewrite, the tweaks done, we're going to have another class in November, and very excited about that. I think that's one of the great things that we can do to help raise member professionalism. Some of the other things that we're doing is, and we've done for a number of years now, is a leadership academy. And we have 12 candidates that go through our leadership academy every year, and they're trained about not only in everything that the Realtor family, the three levels of the organization, do, but also what we do in the areas of advocacy, not only politically and legislatively, but also in the community. They become very, very much aware of what we can do as Realtors helping in our community. And then, of course, they're taught basics of and learn more about how to be leaders of group. Very proud of the people that have come through that leadership academy. Then, of course, we've got our regular educational programming that we do. Of course, in our core CE is one thing I'm kind of pleased that our leadership decided to do is that to provide the core continuing education as a member benefit, which means at no charge. If you're a Columbus Realtors member, you get the law, the ethics, and the civil rights courses all provided at no additional cost. It's included in your membership.
I did not know that.
I'm excited about that.
I did not know.
A lot of people don't realize that. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to share that information.
Well, let me repeat that.
I'll just stop for a minute. You got some questions.
Well, no, let me repeat that. Let me repeat that to everybody else so that they clearly understand that as part of your CBR membership, the board has made it possible for members of CBR to get their law, ethics, and civil right continuing ed that they have to get every 3 years by state of Ohio law at no cost, which is awesome because I had no idea that was possible. So that is absolutely awesome.
That's correct. And we have several offerings of each year. So you might find that, we've got our classroom there can seat about 100 to 120 people. Sometimes it gets pretty full, and that's nothing I like better, take more pride in than seeing a full classroom. It's great.
Sure. Well, you mentioned something in your conversation, which kind of is going to lead me to the second question. Part of the leadership training is community involvement. And so that's what I want to talk to you second. Again, I talk to members, I talk to realtors, I talk to broker owners. And before I get into community involvement, let me also step back for a second to make it clear also. You indicated that the mentor training, and I think I'll probably participate in one in November because it sounds like a blast, number one. Number two, it also sounds like something I could learn from. It's probably a good thing for managers and owners of the company to take. Does that sound like a good idea?
I would agree with that 100%. I think it's sort of my tagline. If I'm going to think about, we all know that sales makes the world go round, right?
Right.
So what we need to do is sell this program, and I think it's an easy sell because, in my opinion, every brokerage ought to have someone that can fulfill that mentorship role for the agents within the company.
I think you'll see our faces there. So November, I think you'll see us there. So that's great. So now going back to community involvement, you don't have to get into a lot of discussion over this, but if you could give me maybe an example or two or three, whatever, how many you want to go into in depth, or if you want to just touch base on it. What does the board do to sort of, a lot of times we will talk and people say, oh, you're a realtor, or, some real estate agents perhaps are not as professional as we desire them to be. And so I know the board's trying to raise that bar. It's clear that you are. But what does the board do in the community to promote a goodwill, if you will, of a realtor name?
Well, I love that question because first off, every realtor that I have the opportunity to sit and talk with, and whether I don't believe it's just those that are getting involved in the association, but I think it's realtors across the board are very involved in their community. They're whether it's their church or their local parent teachers association, or whether it's one of the service clubs, or everything in their own area. A good example, and I think probably the best way that it's illustrated, is the annual Realtor Care Day that we have. That's each June, usually around the end of the first week of June. And Realtor Care Day is where we promote all the area associations around town to identify a project within their own area where they can make a difference in the community, whether it's helping. It's unbelievable the projects that people come up with. Maybe it's someone that needs help. Maybe it's a resident that they're disabled. They can't take care of their home. They need someone to come in and help them out. Or maybe it's something that where a couple of years ago we were up in Sunbury, I believe it was, and they were completely rebuilding a ballpark up there for the youth in the area. This past Realtor Care Day, I believe we had about 25 or 26 projects all around Central Ohio, including the main project was down on the south side, where realtors go in. They spend a whole day working on whether it's someone's house, or whether it's a whole block of houses, or whether it's a public park, something of that nature, where they can make a difference. We're able to use money that's raised through our Columbus Realtors Foundation to match any funds that the area associations come up with to finance their project, so we can double the impact with matching funds from the Columbus Realtors Foundation. You probably have saw a couple of months ago where we, speaking of the Realtors Foundation, where we announced a very, very significant, in fact, I'll tell you, it's the largest single gift that we've ever done through the Columbus Realtors Foundation to the South Side Renaissance, which is focusing on two areas in the south side of Columbus, working with the community for all people, Development for All People organization down there. They actually have a 3-year plan to eliminate blight in this very significant area on the south side of Columbus. And with the money that we were able to provide, and they're going to be able to complete that project. And I just look for that to grow into other things around the city as well. That's something that the realtors are doing. We try, of course, to make sure everyone knows the realtors are doing that. We like to highlight when the members are out doing those things, publish that information in our magazine, etc. Other things the foundation is doing, community grants. We do support a number of organizations like Homes on the Hill is an example. Home Port, again, these are low-income housing-related organizations. Habitat, number of groups like that we're able to help. Homelessness Foundation, etc. Those are all, and now those are all very, very significant. And the last one I want to tell you about in that area is a fund within the Columbus Realtors Foundation called the Realtor Benevolence Fund. The purpose of that fund is to help those in circumstances beyond their control. Now, this is not limited to realtors, but I can tell you just from historically that we've had realtors that, whether it's a health issue, something of that nature, some disaster that they may have suffered in their life, we've been able to help those people. And that kind of rings from that thought that charity starts at home. So we actually have a fund there that we raise a significant amount of money that is there and able to help our own members when they get into a situation that's really circumstances beyond their control. Very proud of our members that came up with that idea as well.
That's a really
I'll stop for a
interesting
minute.
thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's very interesting. I didn't know that existed either. So, I mean, I've learned 2 new things in the last 12 minutes. So if you have a realtor, I'm going to throw this out there because a lot of people that I know have in the past battled some health issues. You know, some have suffered from battling cancer, hypothetically speaking. There is some sort of available fund for people that are in need. I'm sure there is a qualification process, which is normal, to where they can
We do have it. It's entirely private, so you don't have to worry that someone needs that kind of help. They don't have to be embarrassed about it. I ask people to get in contact with Ida Sater here in our office, and they will help coordinate that application for funds. And it's secret. It's no reason that anyone will know about it. So
Okay. Well, so I want to get into the last question, and it's a conversation that everybody hates to have, but we've talked about this, and I understand the perspective, I understand the position, and I understand the explanation. So I don't think that there's anything else to be said about that. You know, you've got a lot of members that are pro, you got a lot of members that are con, you got a lot of members that just don't know any better, or they just don't ask questions. You know, there's different things that different boards do when it comes to data. And some boards, you know, choose to or choose not to feed, you know, monsters like Zillow and Trulia and so forth and so on. Columbus Board of Realtors has a position on that, and I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to let you talk about that and explain it as to what the position is. So go ahead, take it away.
Well, okay. Vadim, first off, I'd like to say that, and this is, again, I was talking about our strategic plan. And one of the points in our strategic plan is to promote the mission of the MLS and its divisions. A lot of people may or may not realize we have the MLS Corporation, but within that MLS Corporation, we have the MLS division, and we also have the Commercial Information Exchange, or COSI. Some of our members belong to both of those. The COSI is strictly commercial, and it's more of an information exchange. It's not an MLS for commercial real estate, but it's an exchange. So it's interesting. It's a property data specific service. It's not based on listings. It's based on all properties that are there. We have a great database of information about all properties, commercial properties that are in the area. So the mission of the MLS is interesting because another one of our strat plan objectives was to get more brokers involved in the association. And one of the ways that we did that, and effective January of this year, we actually reconstructed our MLS board of directors. So our leadership, we still have the MLS committee, which deals with more the day-to-day guidance for the MLS staff and how to administer the MLS. But these are member decisions. The MLS committee does that, but then over the MLS committee, we have an MLS board of directors. And we reconstructed the MLS board of directors this year, and it's almost all brokers that sit on that MLS board of directors. You've got guaranteed representation.
Okay.
You've got guaranteed representation for the large brokerages, you have guaranteed representation for the smaller brokerages. And so these decisions are being made by the brokers. And I will say that it's always been the mission of the MLS was to conservatively distribute our MLS data, which means we don't really syndicate MLS data. There are only two destinations for the public display of our MLS listings. One is the first, and I think the highest, is our own members' websites. The IDX displays on our own members' websites. It gets the full MLS data for display. That is the absolute best place for the public to go to get to see MLS listings. The second is Realtor.com. Realtor.com is there because it was originally created by the Realtors. It promotes the Realtor. It promotes the Realtor image, and it doesn't permit for sale by owner properties on Realtor.com. So it's really started by us, and that's the reason that we provided listings to Realtor.com. Now, beyond that, keep in mind, members, the fact is, the members can provide their own listing data wherever they want. It's their data. It's their right. They can send it anywhere they want. Our leadership has made the decision that it's not our position to do that distribution. So when you talk about some of these other websites that you mentioned, we do not syndicate data there, but our members sure can do it. It's just we're not in the business of, quote, leveling that playing field to make that happen.
I respect that, and we talked about that in our prior conversation. There's pros and cons to everything, so therefore you'll have people that are happy and people that are unhappy. I just wanted to make sure that the audience could hear it directly from you and understand what this means to them. And so at the end of the day, it's really simple. The board allows the data to be put on brokers, local brokers' websites and agents' websites. So if your company provides a website for you, and you could submit ADX, I know we do, and so all of our agents have their own websites, and on their websites they have full control IDX, and we have to, of course, go to the board to ask permission for every agent, but the board never has given us any problems, so it's never been an issue. I would sort of agree with you that Realtor.com was created by NAR, if you will, and so therefore, it sort of promotes the Realtor name because it has a Realtor in the name. It's Realtor.com, so it's kind of hard to avoid that. So I don't think that there is really a positive or a negative to this. I think it's just different views of opinion. That's all it is.
Yeah, I would just add one thing, because I know when you mentioned the one website, I've seen the communication where they're telling members that they're discontinuing accepting feeds directly from members and will only accept data feed from MLS beginning, I think, in about a month from now.
Yeah.
Actually, I have it from them that is not true. They are accepting feeds from members and from franchises, etc. And so that concerns me that people have the idea that they will only accept from MLS, because that's not true. Frankly, they are choosing whose feed they're going to accept and whose they won't.
Right.
And if I were in some member's shoes, I'd be upset about it.
Sure, of course. And, and again, the board has its own vision. Hate it or love it, it's driven by the membership and people that are, representing the board in the eyes of general public. So therefore, there really isn't a wrong or right answer. It's just is what it is, and this is the board's position. So, but I wanted to make sure I asked that question so that I could put that to rest with our viewers or people here at our brokerage, which we haven't had that question asked here before, but I talk to a lot of people that come from other places, and that comes up here once in a while. And so I figured, hey, I'd ask you directly, and I got exactly what I was looking for. So I wanted to say, thank you again for giving me your time. I know that it's precious. Number two, as we spoke before, in my prior dealings in the past, perhaps I wasn't as engaged or as involved in the local board or helping the local board or doing certain things that I should be doing. So I think I'll do more of that moving forward. And I hope to promote the well-being of Columbus Board of Realtors to everyone, and make sure that we all do the right thing and move forward in a positive way. But I appreciate your time today, sir.
Well, Vadim, thanks for having me on, and I'd like to close one more time and urge any of your watchers to go to that Realtors Relief Foundation, NAR's Realtor Relief Foundation, and try to help the people out in Texas that are suffering from that horrible disaster.
Well, thank you. And if I don't see you until then, I will see you September 12th at the Corpac Golf Outing.
All right.
All right,
see
perfect.
You there, my friend.
I'll see you then. Thank you so much again.
All right.
Bye-bye. Well, another call under the belt. You heard it from the man himself. I hope that everybody goes and supports their board and does the right thing. I think elevating the quality of real estate professionals in the country is important. We are a very good, long-standing profession. I was reading an article a couple of days ago released by Time Magazine as to what changes are coming our way from standpoint of technology, what changes coming towards us from standpoint of new innovation, changes that are coming towards us from standpoint of, IE. Everybody talks about AE and, how artificial intelligence is going to change us and how computers are going to take over the world. There are going to be self-driving cars. It's happening, folks. There will be cars driving you. You're not going to need Uber. You're going to just take me home and you can go out and have drinks with your friends. And there'll be other things that will automate our lives. But interestingly enough, I read the article. It talked about real estate. And in the article, it talked about the commute. It talked about that people are going to live further away from the city. People will be able to work remotely. People will be able to do all of this and not sit in the office space and talk to an audience of how many doing exactly what I'm doing right now. It talked about that people are going to build colonies, and the colonies are going to be people buying land together and building homes together of families that like each other, that want to combine efforts of sustaining their own lifestyle, that being from water and sewage and growing their own agricultural things. However, there was nothing in the article, which was really cool, that says that real estate agents will be replaced. So please don't freak out that there'll be robots on the street showing houses. However, elevating the quality of our work, elevating the quality of care, elevating the quality of our own professionalism is important. So go support your board. Thank you for your time today. Stay tuned for the announcements for our next speaker, which I think is going to be also amazing. We're probably going to skip a week next week because of all the hockey and everything else I'm doing, and it's going to be a short week, Mondays off. So stay tuned for the week after. Thanks again.